Now let's discuss how you can classify the nature of conics by discriminants. So basically you have this as your general equation of any conic, right? I think you remember this from the circles. And basically you can determine if such an equation is given to you, and you have to determine whether it's a parabola, a circle, an ellipse, or a hyperbola. You need something easier to do than to just draw this entire thing out. In that case, you use this thing, the discriminant. Basically, it's h squared minus ab. That will be the discriminant. And this h is basically this one, this a is this one, and this b is this one. Once you have these values from the general equation, you can determine if it's a parabola, a circle, an ellipse, or a hyperbola. Basically, if the ellipse is less than 0, right? If the determinant is less than 0, it's either an ellipse or a circle. Now, if you need to determine between an ellipse and a circle, that's a more complicated matter. And you can just do that by plotting them out, or basically, the equation of a circle and an ellipse are very different. I think it's a bit simpler than I said previously, right? And if the discriminant is equal to 0, it's a parabola. If the discriminant is greater than 0, it's a hyperbola. Now, let's take an example. So, for example, if you have 2x squared plus, let's say, 6y plus 8y squared plus, let's say, 2g, not g is a constant, 2x plus 10y plus 9 is equal to 0. Let's say this is your general equation, right, of the conic. And now you need to determine whether it's an ellipse, a circle, parabola, or a hyperbola. Well, you just find the discriminant first, h squared minus ab. What is h? Well, you can find h by this. So 6y is equal to 2 into 3 into y. So this 3 is your h, since 2hy. 6y is equal to 2hy, so 2 into 3 into y, and h is 3. Now h is equal to 3. Okay, what is a? A is simply 2 in this case. So a is equal to 2. Now what is b? By squared, so 8, right? So b is equal to 8. Now let's find the discriminant. The discriminant is 8 squared, so 3 square minus a into b minus 2 into 8. So this is 9 minus 16, which is equal to minus 7. And minus 7 is less than 0. So it's either an ellipse or a circle, right? So in this particular example, it's either an ellipse or a circle.